Okay, so at this point, you've learned how to harmonize a G major scale in the 6 positions. And you've learned how to take those arpeggios and play them against the chords of a progression to make a bass line. And then we worked on different rhythms to produce rhythmic ideas to make the line sound more interesting. Now what we're going to do before we move to the next and basically final chapter is we're going to revisit the arpeggios and we're going to learn the intervals of each arpeggio. So let's start with the G major 7 arpeggio. And remember, we had 4 notes. So there's going to be a lot of numbers with music. So there's 4 notes, but we're playing different positions. Now, what we're doing is we're playing a root note, which is a 1, a third, a fifth, and a 7. And those make up a G major 7 when I start on G, arpeggio. 1, 3, 5, 7. Now, if I was to play a G major scale, it would be every other note of the G major scale that would be used to create a G major 7 arpeggio. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 3, 5, 7. This is probably one of the hardest things for most people to understand because there are so many numbers in music. So this will be a very important video before you can kind of move to the next chapter. So let's look at it again, a G major 7 arpeggio. Our interval numbers will be 1, 3, 5, 7. Okay, so if we move to a C major 7 arpeggio, the interval numbers will be the same, 1, 3, 5, 7. Okay, so now for the other 2 arpeggios, I'm going to call them 1, 3, 5, 7 just for the simplicity. But they actually have different names to them. So in the beginning, I'll show you the correct terminology, and then we'll just call them 1, 3, 5, 7 because it's easier. So for the D dominant chord arpeggio, we have a 1, 3, 5, minor 7. 1, 3, 5, minor 7. But we're just going to call that 7 because we know that this position is a dominant 7. So just for simplicity and to try to keep as much out of our brain as possible right now, we're going to call it 7. 1, 3, 5, 7, dominant 7. Okay, when we move to the minor 7 arpeggios, I'm going to call it what it's supposed to be called, and then we'll rename it for simplicity. We have a 1, minor 3, 5, minor 7. 1, minor 3, 5, minor 7. If we move that to the B, a B minor 7 arpeggio, the intervals will still be a 1, minor 3, 5, minor 7. We move it to the E minor 7 arpeggio, the intervals will be the same, a 1, minor 3rd, 5, minor 7. But to make it easier for the next video, we want to just call them 1, 3, 5, 7. I know it's confusing, and this is one of the, like I said before, this is probably one of the worst parts about music and arpeggios is keeping all the intervals, spelled correctly. But at this point, you should know these patterns frontwards and backwards. And so taking a slight off-course adventure and renaming them 1, 3, 5, 7 based on the shape will make it easier for the next video. So let's look at it one more time before we move on. So we have a 1, 3, 5, 7, G major 7, 1, 3, 5, 7, C major 7, 1, 3, 5, 7, A minor 7, 1, 3, 5, 7, D dominant 7, 1, 3, 5, 7, B minor 7, 1, 3, 5, 7, E minor 7. So work on that, try to remember what's going on, and in the next video it'll all make a little more sense.